Hey everybody, Clint here from Oak and Iron Outdoors. The purpose of today's video is to talk about some deer hunting strategy and two hunts that I had after two specific bucks. And yes, I came close, I didn't capitalize, but there's some lessons to be learned from these two hunts. The other thing I want to showcase in today's video is my brother Matt goes up to northern Wisconsin and gets a beautiful Northwoods public land buck with a bow. So that'll be at the end of the video. So let's go over all of that right now. This first hunt happens right during the middle of the rut. And essentially it's that scenario, I'm sure most of you who've been in the deer woods long enough during the rut, is that you have the doe come crashing out of the thick stuff, and you got that big buck right behind her. I had this really tall 8-pointer, and he's just grunting and coming right on after her. And I'm sitting there messing with my phone that's on my stabilizer, thinking it was turned on, and it wasn't. And this is all happening literally like in 8 seconds. So I'm trying to do all this stuff, pick up my bow, draw back. I have, when he hits this little open area that was available to me, I had my pin already on him. All I needed him to do was stop, just 1 second stop. So, you know, we make those sounds, or I do the a little louder if I have to, and I did that 4 times. Now, granted, his attention is on that doe, and I know that to get him to stop is going to be next to impossible, but you have to try. And I'm not going to shoot at 30 yards at a running buck with a compound bow. So as he's going through, that pin is on him, and I'm and then finally, toward the end, I even yelled, stop. Because believe it or not, I've had that work in the past just by yelling the human word, stop. But even after I yelled the word stop, nope, he was all after that doe. And that was the end of that story and essentially that hunt that evening. Now, the second one is a little bit more disheartening. And this particular buck that I had come through, I had him on trail camera multiple times, and he was coming through times that I had to be at work. But he was starting to become a little patternable, and he started to show himself for the very first time during daylight hours. And I thought to myself, okay, I can capitalize. So I had this evening, the wind was a northwest wind. It was perfect for this particular stand, or at least so I thought. And I get set up. Now, 15 minutes, 10 minutes prior to the end of legal shooting light, I have this young doe come out. And of course, these younger does, they can come into estrus a little later. So now we're at the tail end of the rut, and he's in there and he's after her. So this doe comes out, and my shooting lane, or the area I want to shoot, is out to my left here. The area that doe comes is off to essentially my right and further out. So as a archer, you know, we want stuff here and she's over here. Now, one of the issues I had is that the stand I was in is a ladder stand, and it's an old cheapo ladder stand. And it's got a platform, I kid you not, it might be only 16 inches wide by maybe 12 inches deep. And it's very tight, close to a tree. And I've had it there for years, and I'm like, you know, I'm just going to leave it there. So anyways, I'm in this particular ladder stand. I'm trying to rotate as far as I possibly can, because I'm thinking that maybe he's going to be after her soon. And sure enough, about 30 seconds later, I heard him coming with those small little grunts that coming. And I didn't know it was him for sure. I just knew that the buck was coming, and all of a sudden he pops out of this thick stuff. So I take my bow and I rotate to my right. The doe that came through earlier, she stopped. She picked up my wind slightly. She hesitated, and I kind of figured because she hesitated, he is going to do the same. So I'm kind of trying to pick this window to possibly take him. She takes off earlier through the field, and then he comes about a minute later. As he comes, he hits my scent stream. Now, as most of you know, I practice scent control. I use Evercalm. I think it does help a little bit, but you know, you're never going to be 100% scent free. So as he comes down, quartering to my right, he stops, and he knew something was up. And I'm assuming, like I said, that he smelled my scent. So I bring up my bow, and as I go to draw back, he's at 30 yards. All of a sudden, I felt my draw arm, my right arm stop, and it hit the trunk of the tree. And I thought to myself, you've got to be kidding me. Now, because this ladder stand is so close to this tree, there's not hardly any room to get that bow arm back. Now, if he would have gone a little further to the right and stayed after that young doe, I would have had room to be able to clear the tree, and then obviously anywhere over here. He couldn't have picked a more perfect spot to essentially stand. And then what I ended up trying to do, I tried to lean forward, then I could get my arm back, but then my peep was higher than my actual sight, and I just couldn't get him into it. It was just the worst luck that you could possibly ask for. And I'm hoping that maybe over time here, luck will average itself out. But those were two instances with two particular bucks that I was after. Now, one thing I want to talk about is a strategy that I think I'm going to change next year. And it has to do with the properties I hunt. And I'm sure there's lots of you folks out there that are in the same boat I am and hunting these extremely small properties. Now, where I hunt, a lot of my properties are between 10 and 15 acres. I do have a couple, we'll call it 40s. And then as some of you know, I do have these 2 or 3 acre slivers that go into these bigger woods per se. But what I noticed with this year, at least, a lot of the bucks I was after were in these 12 to 15 acre woodlots. Now, I did a video a couple years ago, and I'll post it down below, called Bow Hunting Woodlot Bucks. And a lot of the stuff that I did put in there, yes, I still adhere to that today. The only thing that I want to say that I'm going to change up to be a little different going forward is that I'm going to get away from the idea of being mobile. Yes, I just said that. The idea from being mobile. And this is only going to be during that rut time frame. When I started to look back at past videos or pictures of trail cameras and my past hunts, thinking about, some of these bucks that I've got over the years, during that rut time frame, even though you don't see pictures, even though you don't see videos, or even sign for that matter, there are certain areas that big bucks are going to go through. And that's what I had this particular year. If I would have just essentially sat there and stayed there, not seen anything for maybe 2 or 3 days, I would have eventually got a very good poke at a target buck. Now, one thing that I do find unique about hunting these small properties, and I'll talk about this, I think, in a later video in December, compared to, let's say, other properties. And, I'm in Wisconsin here. I got my brother and some buddies. They hunt central Wisconsin, and then in particularly western Wisconsin. And the tracts of land where they hunt are much larger, especially in that western part of the state. Bigger tracts, I shouldn't say tracts of land, bigger tracts of wooded or cover. Where here, where I'm at, we have a lot of these woodlots that are spaced throughout the area. And this is what I found to be very unique. Over this season, they were sending me literally mid-October daylight bucks, big bucks in daylight. And we're talking 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m. And then as it got closer to the rut, they're sending those pics of these big bucks at 11 a.m., noon, 1 o'clock. And I'll be honest with you, out of the 11 knock-on-door permission properties that I have, I kid you not, most of my bucks were still 98% nocturnal, even going through the rut. And what I attribute that to is that on these small woodlots, these bucks do not want to showcase themselves. And not only that, these woodlots that are surrounding too, they're also hunted very, very hard. So they know that if they exit a woodlot, a 12-acre woodlot, at 8 o'clock in the morning and go to the next one, they're out there in the open, in the field, where everybody and anyone and any predator can see them, and then they don't know what essentially they might be getting into. So what I'm trying to get at is that the system that I currently utilize of being mobile, and I know a lot of you guys are mobile, and I'll be honest with you, I still think mobility is king. But on the small woodlots that I hunt, I'm starting to realize that I'm going to have permanent stands set up ahead of time, and I'm going to have to be able to access these permanent stands on either very windy days, or they're going to have to be close enough to maybe a field edge where I can sneak in and get in undetected. So hopefully you guys can take a little bit away from that, and comment down below. Were you guys chasing trail cams this year? Do you feel that maybe you were bouncing around too much when you should have stayed put. And, you know, sometimes we can say that was the issue. And now, once again, if that first buck came through, if he'd have stopped just 1 second, I might not be discussing this component. And if that second buck that came through, if I didn't have essentially that tree trunk in the way and he's off just a little bit, who knows? Maybe I wouldn't be saying that, this is where I went wrong. Not saying that technically in the deer woods you ever really go wrong, but you should try to learn from things that have happened in the past and apply it to your future hunts. All right, folks, so my brother Matt here that I'm going to feature, now he is not technically a filmer. He just has a second cell phone that he puts on his bow. And I just said, hey, if you're getting deer this year, just film it. Just send me whatever footage you get. And then, of course, he goes up to northern Wisconsin and he gets this really awesome buck with the bow on public land. So I'm going to showcase what he sent me, and you guys can see it right here.
Oh my gosh. Holy crap. Look at this buck. Oh. I didn't think he was this big. Oh my gosh. That's a big boy I saw yesterday. Yeah! Wow. Holy smokes. Man, unbelievable. Public land, bucks, it can be done. Wow.
There's nothing better than public land bucks. Man, I can't believe it. Put on the miles this last couple days. Saw him yesterday, relocated. Hot doe came in, full drawn. She came through. I couldn't hold back the bow anymore. Had to let up. She went up the hill and I heard grunting behind it. Came to full draw again. Hard quartering shot, but I hugged his shoulder blade and I made the shot, and I can't believe I got him. He only went about 30 yards and piled up. Hard work pays off.